So first of all, we're going to cover observables. An observable is basically a function that creates an observer and attaches it to the source where values are expected from. For example, clicks, mouse events from a DOM element. So when the user clicks on a DOM element inside the whole page, or an HTTP request. So observer is an object with callback functions that will get called where there is an interaction to the observable. So as an example, if we have the source that is interacted, for an example, a button click. So when we click a button, then we have HTTP request, etc. So we're going to discuss the following topics: how to make observables, how to subscribe to observables, and how to execute observables. Now, let's first start off with actually making observables. So the observable can be created using observable constructor. So let's go ahead and make an observable using the constructor method. So we're going to import observable, capital O, from RxJs library. Make sure you put in the... Okay. So now we're going to make an observable and store it in a variable. So let's make a variable called observable, and then equals new observable, and we're going to use the constructor of observable to make the observer. So we're going to pass in the function subscribe, so we can basically connect to this function, and that subscribe is going to give us a parameter called subscriber. And for the body of this function, we're going to basically connect to that subscriber, and we're going to pass in a string to it. So we're going to do the subscriber.next. So when we're returning a string to the subscriber, we just do subscriber.next, and let's do, for example, my observable. So now let's go ahead and subscribe to this observer that we have just made. So we're just going to do observer.subscribe. And when we connect to the subscribe function that we have implemented inside observable, as you can see over here, so that will basically return a string called my observable. So now when we return the string, we want to actually access that string in the subscribe. So when we do subscribe, that would basically return to a string. So that string we're going to call it x as a parameter, and we're going to use the arrow function, so we can basically do something with this x, and we're just going to console.log it. So now, if we run this program again, node r and then esm and then source slash the name of the file, testing rx.js, and it says no my observable, as you can see. So it's working as it should be. So now there's another way of doing of making observables. So the way we have used it is using the constructor way. The second way is using create method. So you can use the create method just using .create. So instead of having the constructor, we can just do observable. We need to remove the new, because we're not making a new object. We're just using the observable class, and then we're going to use the create method from that class. And then we can do the same thing, just like I explained. And if we run it again, as you can see, it's giving us the same output. So it's basically it's down to your preference on which way you want to use.